My name is PJ Wright. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. Can't have a better place to be from. Buck-ups. Starting out in entertainment was buck-ups. My brother was and is very popular. He was the one who actually started doing the parties. Gregory Wright. I got into the creative zone of things, and I found that it was just coming natural. I'd spend hours researching stuff, figuring out what works, what don't work, and it eventually just evolved. I think that we were calculated, but I'd say a little bit of luck. We got some good venues at that time. When we started, venues was what differentiated persons, and we were able to lock in some unique places that gave our consumers a different experience, and that just allowed us to continue growing and building brands. Yeah, our first event together as Right Image was an event called DayDreams. As in, we had some other events before, not so successful, as in we learned from them, but then we realized that out of it, DayDreams, we were hitting the mark with creating something unique that people would travel for. People would look forward to plan. So plan from the ladies planning for the clothing wise, men planning from which lady they're carrying and what they wear. And it always created a good vibe. When you're talking about putting on parties, talking about from stuff as simple as things at our home, at friends' homes, it then blossomed into this big entertainment group that we're in now, which is Dream Entertainment. But it really came from just us just liking to host and me liking to create, and it worked out having to do with the synergies that we're able to have with other promoters, other brands, sponsors, where it is that we saw where we were growing something. We did something very unique when we started. We focused on daytime. So one of the things is that we don't keep any party past 10 o'clock at night, and most of our parties are on Sundays. So that meant it was always a chill vibe that got into a nicer vibe that you're gonna still chill out and go back home. And one of our things when we started was that we didn't keep anything in Kingston. So it was always out of town. It was a little bit of an adventure, and that helped us with being unique. So people looked forward to our events as an experience. In the beginning, everything was detailed, talking about we were putting up the fabric ourselves. We were laying out and picking up items from rental places ourselves. The signs were not necessarily big fancy signs. These were all things that we were creating. Our mother was working the gate. It was genuinely starting from scratch, doing it with the love in mind, but overall we always had a business mind with what we were doing, and know that there's a bigger picture to it, but definitely keeping the consumer in mind throughout the entire process. What out of this will the consumers get for them to want to continue going on? And one of the things that we established from very, very early was that our last event should be our best event. Once it is that we do that, then it makes sense to continue. If we reach a point where it is that the last time that event was kept wasn't its best, then that means that it's time for that event to retire. So always better to retire before the people retire you. It was one event that changed it. It was it was DayDreams in St. Thomas at Solaris. It was an all-white event, and it was fully sold out to the point where we were at the gate giving back people their money because we couldn't have anybody else inside. We were able to at that point then transition into having a pre-sold only event, and then also people started realizing that we were serious about our brand. We're not going to compromise our brand and have an overpacked event, and that is what I think a lot of the persons respected the brand based on that, and respected us to say that, boy, it wasn't about the money at that point when it was a good opportunity to be about the money, and we got the support, and genuinely a lot of different eyes went on the brand, and it developed, and then eventually we went and we started hosting events in the grill, blossomed into what we have now as Dream Weekend with other partners. So ideally it was a dream grouping by putting these promoters together, so the name just came naturally, coincidentally. Dream is in DayDreams, but it's not because it was the main party. All the parties was the main party, and I think because we focused and gave everyone their highlight, that's what made it come together, and persons just really supported. I think that we have a common goal, and we know that goal is not possible as individuals. The strength is in the numbers. The strength is in the unity, and we all agree that if we stay together, focus on this big dream that we have of creating a mega brand for Brand Jamaica that deals with entertainment tourism, then therefore that's the win. And I think that's what keeps us together more than anything else, because we know that we have a bigger plan. At one point I decided that I was gonna have a 9-to-5. I was doing entertainment stuff, doing parties, and then I got an opportunity with RETV. I saw it as a genuine good stepping stone. And if you're trying to understand entertainment, understanding it from the behind the lens and how things come together, especially when TV at that point was really how things were advertised, how things came to light. While at RETV, I was producing events for them. So they had an arm that had things like high school tour, we had a live concert series called RE Unplugged. So my main job was making sure that these things were curated for TV purposes, obviously, but the experience had to be good on the ground, because if it's not good on the ground, it's not gonna translate good on TV. So that was my main thing, and out of it, talking anybody who is anybody now was either working in similar positions as me, or were taking their time and going up the ladder. And it's always good to see that part of it, because like genuinely that was my college. That was my college in entertainment, because I genuinely got to learn the inside and out of entertainment, the good and the bad, as in got to see behind the scenes. This was full enjoyment, as in no lie, I wouldn't even call it a 9-to-5, because it was more than that, as in we were working long hours, but it was genuinely something I was enjoying doing. As in, when you look at it, you literally were creating entertainment from the events to what people were consuming on the TV. It felt good. It was rewarding. Well, RE was one of my biggest life lessons. When I say RETV, I say that whole time there was one of my biggest life lessons. I realized that I was growing. Things that I were doing were starting to become not necessarily more competition to persons that I was working for. And because of that, it created conflict of interest. I can understand that now. At that time, I probably didn't get it. I thought it was more of, boy, somebody trying to hold me back. It was one of my biggest learning lessons, because I got fired. I got fired probably not for the right reasons, but I can tell you this though, it made the right reasons come out in me. For me, that was one of my turning points. I said I'd never ever have myself in that position that somebody can tell me to come out of the place. This was probably one of my saddest points, because I never expected. Boy, that feeling, I'd have said that I'm happy that I had it that early in life, because it fired me up. No joke, as in like, it fired me up to say that, oh, okay, so this is how it is. You can be sent home. It was scary, I must say, because as in, really and truly, that's all I knew that I was doing. Stability was more important. Making sure that earning money was more important than this feeling of freedom, the feeling of that I'm building something. But after not having that, I realized that the building was actually what was more important. And then that getting that focus and focusing on that, that's what changed it for me. So my most rewarding endeavor to date would be the building out of the Chillin on the Farm, Chillin in the Morning, and the Chillin Restaurant brand. Because it was just such a natural synergy, it was I would almost call it destiny, as in our partner in that, Courtney Murray and Nikki Murray, it was like, you know, like when you just end up, you meet somebody who you feel like you should have known a long time. Yeah, that was that synergy. It was like so natural. Out of it, we ended up in 2 weeks just deciding that we're gonna keep a party down on the farm, and we call it Chillin on the Farm. People loved it, loved the idea of the drive out on the Sunday again, and it worked. Courtney Murray's food, amazing. It has only gotten better over the years, and also their brand, Murray's Fish and Jerk Hut, has grown out of it as well. So that one to me is, it has a special place, because out of the success of the event, we found it only necessary to bring out the brand of the restaurant, because people love the food, they loved the feeling and the vibe, and who doesn't like just chilling? So one of the things that we always try to do is to be a little bit different once it comes on to events. So our formula is always about being different. So Chillin on the Farm is always off season. It will never be during Easter, during summer, the peak of summer. So now we stay away from those peak times, never ever in the crowded period of the seasons. And people always just dedicate their time, make sure that they need to be, if they're living away and they need to be in Jamaica, they make sure that they book their ticket and they're here for it. And it's always consistently a good time. My team with Chillin, which is Taste of Life Limited, is Chillin and Cru. As in Cru Bar was a venture that we got a great opportunity, and we took it on. We took it on as a management agreement, and then after, eventually we're now fully managing and operating the space. It works setting up multiple properties that can not necessarily compete but complement each other, and by doing that, what that does is establish that you have multiple markets. For if you look at most major food and beverage enterprises, they have multiple brands underneath it. They compete with themselves. You can't go and eat at KFC or Subway every day, but you may end up going to Pizza Hut. That way there, you get all of the market. And that's it for us. So if you don't feel for tacos, and you feel for some Jamaican food, we got that. If you don't feel for some Jamaican food and you want to go and just drink on the rooftop, we'll have that. So it's more about making sure that we create all the things that the market needs. And if I have to open a supermarket one day, we're going to open a supermarket. We just have to make sure, say, we create all of the things, and then after that, find a way that people love the brands and continue supporting it. I feel like legacy important. And when I say legacy, I'm not meaning that something that go down in the history books. I just meaning like when people think about what you did or what you have done, you yourself, if hearing it, you should feel proud. And I believe that also, like, my father has left a legacy of good, as in he wasn't in entertainment or anything like that, but he's a good businessman. Everywhere that I've gone, every time that I've met somebody and they said, "Oh, that's your father," that way, that it almost opened a door, because them say already, if that's who your father is, then you must come from some good cloth. And that, to me, I feel is like he has left a legacy having to do with that part, and I want to put a legacy out there for my kids, whenever that is. You see what I have mapped out in my head? I see like 60% of it out there. 20% of it, I don't believe it gonna happen. I feel if it's just like really out there, like really up in the sky, I just wanna see that happen. If that happens, then I think that as in like, that's my win. One little thing advice that I'd love give just people overall, anybody who in business, is don't be afraid to partner. It's one of the things that I think we need to unlearn some stuff. We tend to want to hold things for ourselves and we want the whole hog. But if you think about all of the major things that have happened, major businesses, major brands that we love, it's not owned by one person. Majority of them is not owned by one person. It's a group. And if you find the right group that motivates you, funds you, and also believes in that you have a talent, if it is so that you have an idea, put it on paper and try to find some persons who see the vision and help you build it out. The whole hog thing, that's gone through the door. The whole hog means that you live in the business, you die in the business, and probably have to hope that your kids come and take it up because it's just you alone. The genuine partnership of life, where it is that you find people that have like-minded, or it is that people who want to just invest, it's out there. That's the way that we live in now. And I believe that if more people look at things that way, that we'll see a better Jamaica, we'll see a better business community, and it's a win.